Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast Buckeye edition. Today we have the L7C's weekly Buckeye episode with the L7C founders Cedric and Byron Mitchell. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good today. Today was a easy day at work, so I'm good.
Yeah, it's been a great day. We're getting to fall. Definitely some fall weather out here in Ohio, so doing great.
For those who've been listening to the L7C weekly Buckeye stuff, you know how we do. We review the game, talk about what we like, what we didn't like, look around college football. And I know it's only week 2, but I got the crew, Cedric and Byron, got a lot to say about some things that went down already this weekend. Let's pass it to the captain. Take it away on what the Buckeyes were doing the second game.
The Buckeyes overall were looking great the second game. We started off fast and didn't let up the gas until like fourth quarter. CJ Stroud had another great game, 16 for 24 for 351 yards and 4 touchdowns. Kyle McCord got in, a little action, 3 for 4 for 19 yards. Marvin Henderson looked great this game. He had 10 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. His longest run was like 41 yards, and I really thought he was about to take it to the house, but got tackled, but that's okay. Ryan Williams had a good game too, 8 for 46. And I would say like the star of the show outside of CJ Stroud, Marvin Harrison Jr. 7 catches, under 84 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked fantastic with Jackson Smith and Jigba still out this game. The receivers really stepped up. Emeka Buka had 4 for 118 yards and a touchdown. So overall, our offense looked great. Our defense looked good as well, but there's a few plays I'm like, I don't know what's going on defense. Like one drive that the Arkansas State had on offense, like we got like 3 different defensive pass interference calls against Denzel Burke, and he kind of got beat. Yeah, he kind of got beat a couple of times, and I don't think I saw him on the field after that drive. So Jim Knowles wasn't about it. But otherwise, than that, our defense looked great. Outside of that one drive, we held them to 12 points, all field goals. So overall, pretty good game, except for that few defensive plays. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, man, Cedric, you hinted that you didn't like how the name that Byron said. What were you liking? What were you not liking during the game?
Well, I'll just hit off initially. Like, I like Denzel Burke. I like the new defense. I think it's very aggressive. I like that. I mean, we've always had talent on this team, so I love the fact that we are encouraging our players to play like they are. Like they're 5-star athletes. Let's not joke around here. Faster, stronger, better, essentially, is a mentality when you think about these Power 5 football conferences and teams. My issue is you got to play smart. And that whole drive in that series that Byron was talking about, where Arkansas State was getting down the field and Fleming was eating us up.
Yeah, he was cooking. He was cooking.
And honestly, he's not the tallest guy. I believe he's under 6 foot, if I remember the announcers mentioning. But he's fast. And it was a highlight between him and then the rushing quarterback they sometimes swap in. But and it wasn't even like these were like amazing throws or very difficult plays or amazing route running. It was really just stupid defensive coverage. Like very simple things. Like, especially for the one that was in the end zone, it's like you didn't even look back, like at all. Like not one bit. You just try to cover him, but you don't even know where the ball's coming. That's super simple. That's the one thing that you hear every announcer say, like, well, when you don't look back, they're throwing that pass interference flag, guaranteed. And then you get like a holding type of situation. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, and for someone, I'm glad he doesn't talk as much, because I would say, like, dude, you're acting like Sean Wade out here talking all this shit, but you can't cover shit. Like, he played great. I think after the first, I think he got 3. No, I know he got 2 really, really close. I don't know if they were back to back really close. And then it was fine for a minute. I know he had one stop afterwards, so it seemed like he got it together. But that was just one of the things. Marvin Harrison Jr., man, loved this stepping up. Dude was out there eating too. Like, I think it was a 42-yard pass for a second touchdown, just big bombs, big catches. Honestly, great game. I wish defense would have held off a couple more field goals, but can't be upset. Often showed out.
Oh, and Cedric, you are right. Fleming is not 6 foot. He is 5'5".
Yeah, like 142 pounds.
Yeah, like this. Like, I'm sorry, but like I know Denzel Burke. Predominantly, most cornerbacks aren't like the tallest people, but my guy, like, what are we doing out here? Like, this isn't like someone out here who's gonna dunk on you and you need to like jump up just to cover them.
Yeah, I mean, Fleming had 10 catches, 105. He also led them in carries too. Like, Blackman only had 188 passing yards, and 105 of them were to Fleming.
Like, Denzel Burke, you're 6'1", my guy.
It was something. You guys already gave the analysis what good, what bad. Obviously, I got to throw it in here. We did say we were not going to cover 44 points. I don't know who the hell thought that was about to happen, but 44 points, I get we were favored, but 44, if you bet on that, I'm sorry. That wasn't the move for you.
Honestly, if you bet these last 2 weeks, I don't know what college football you've been watching.
Yeah, that ain't it, man. But I want to get your opinion. I want to get your guys' opinions on this because, you know, I'm the one on when we do these Buckeye things who bring up Buckeye fans bitching about stuff. I heard fans were mad that like the defense didn't force any turnovers or they let them get 12 points and they weren't happy with the blowout win. Like, how are you guys feeling about that?
I'm okay with holding them to 12 points. That to me is a great effort because last year, who knows how many points they would have scored against us, but 12 points against a team that scored like 55 points their last game, I think is really good. I would like to see more turnovers.
We haven't forced
but I'm not
one yet
mad
so
that,
far.
Yeah, we haven't forced one yet so far, but I'm not mad because we've been playing great defensively.
And we have not given up. We have had no interceptions or fumbles so far in the 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric, what do you think about these Buckeye fans, man, not being content with winning by over 20-some points?
I mean, it's the first 2 weeks of college football. Like, it's all right. We haven't gotten any turnovers. Granted, we haven't seen any. If you ask me, I think the 2 offenses we played have been pretty decent as far as ball security. You don't see too many like horribly out like bad passes. Granted, I will hear the caveat because I feel like people watched that Notre Dame game and felt like, well, if he's throwing these picks now, where were we?
Well,
what were we doing?
I will say that their quarterback got knocked out, and he's out for the year, actually, their starting quarterback.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
But you also got to remember, like, the coaches in the preparation that we played, like, we were the matchup for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the best matchup Notre Dame could probably ask for because you have 2 former Buckeyes in that coaching staff who know how the offense in Ohio State's program is ran. So as far as familiarity, you know what you're going to be looking at. You know what you need to do. Where it comes to other teams, it's like, well, we got to figure out, I think this is what will be successful. Granted, that's no excuse to losing to Marshall, but that is for this. But
yeah, we'll get to them. We'll get to all that.
That's beside the point. I mean, I'm satisfied with the win. I'm not so pressed on this defense. I think there's so many new layers that we have honestly still yet to see from this defense. I mean, if you're being honest, I think we played more aggressive defensively this past weekend than we did against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's because of the matchup. No offense to Arkansas State, but I don't know if that's the motivation for it. And I mean, you never know. Like, maybe it's a test of saying, like, okay, so how aggressive can we be with still being in control and not giving up too many big plays?
No, I agree. I think the only thing that I just want tidied up from this game. Just a little bit too much penalties against Arkansas State. That's it for me. I was fine with, like Byron said, if this was the defense of last year, they could have had like 30 points. So, and also with Ohio State offensively, we're not even at full power yet. We have Jackson Smith and Jigba and our Fleming coming back this week. So we're not even at full strength.
Yeah, and then with our defense, I think on the broadcast, I think I heard them say like we were only at like 80% of Jim Knowles' playbook. So there's still a lot of stuff we haven't even seen defensively yet. So
we'll see.
Relax.
Yeah. So we're gonna preview Ohio State's next game before we really go into the craziness that happened. So Ohio State, we're playing Toledo. It's gonna be on Fox, 7 p.m. night game. This game, we are around where did I just see it? 33 to 35 point favorite. Yeah, 32. So, okay. But like we said, we get Jackson Smith and Jigba back. We're going to get Fleming back. And this is the last tune-up till Big Ten play. What are you guys expecting out of the Buckeyes going against Toledo, who is also 2-0?
I think the thing, when I was looking at this earlier, I think the thing I just want our defense to look out is to have a mobile quarterback. I think the last game he had like over like 100 rushing yards, I think. Let me check.
So he's leading the team in passing and rushing.
Yeah. So yeah, the 177 passing yards and a touchdown, and then last game, and then 74 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns last game. So I just want our defense to be aware that he is mobile and he will run if he has to.
Cedric, what are you thinking about in this OSU versus Toledo game?
I mean, I honestly, I just want us to play slow. I think this will be a good idea and test for our defense to see. Because, I mean, we play at max school frequently. And last year was Akron. And that was fucking ended up being a dogfight, which was so unnecessary.
Yep, I was just pulling that up. It was Tulsa. Tulsa was the third game. Because Akron, we won 59-7. It was Tulsa where it was a game going into the fourth quarter, which was the third game of the year.
So I'm always weary about night games with us. Just because, I mean, you never know. People, with those lights come on, people start acting different. But I think we have a good shot. I think the one things I definitely want to see is honestly just the consistency of the defense. I mean, like Byron said, this is a dual threat quarterback. Just lock it down. Don't get sucked into play actions. Don't get sucked in to backfields. Like sweeps, jet sweeps, and options, and watch out for quarterback draws all night long because they'll have to do stuff. Because, I mean, the guy may be fast, but let's be real. No offense, Toledo, but I guarantee you there are some defensive linebackers that could probably catch this guy or maybe run a little bit faster than him. So they're going to have to do some type of misdirection plays if they want to get the run game started. Denzel Burke, please do not commit any penalties this game.
Yeah, I'm looking for the offense to really take hold of this game. I think they're going to jump out pretty early. I don't know about covering 32, but I can see a 20-ish point win. But I do like the challenge of going against a mobile quarterback early for the defense so they can get that experience going against him. So when they play other mobile quarterbacks, they know what it's like. But yeah, I don't know about 32 unless Jackson wants like 4 touchdowns in the first half and then Marvin wants 3 in the second half. And like, it's just going crazy. But
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, but Buckeyes are winning this game.
I like it. It'll be a good tune-up back for Jackson to get back. I mean, field speed is real. Being out is real. So getting a chance to get back out there and just run those routes. Even if you're not necessarily the number one target, This is a game where he doesn't have to worry about like, oh, I need like an all-star performance from me or a Heisman level performance from me. We have the weapons, we have the people. Let's just make sure we stay consistent.
Yeah, and then even you brought up night games too, which 3 of our first 4 games are night games. Notre Dame was a night game. This is a night game. It was just announced yesterday that Wisconsin is going to be a night game on ABC the next weekend. So ABC is trying to get as much, Buckeye exposure as possible before that Big Ten contract ends.
I mean, I just for ABC just blame ESPN for not, wanting that like $7 billion deal, which is still wild to me.
But let's go around college football. Where do we want to start, guys? The upset that should have happened, or the 3 upsets that did happen?
And 3 upsets that did. Because if we do an upset that should have happened,
that's true.
So we want to save them for last?
Yeah, let's save them for last.
Okay. All right. So if you were living, not paying attention to college football this weekend, you would realize that the Sunbelt Conference made history. 3 huge upsets. So I don't even know where we want to start with this, but Sunbelt, Marshall defeated Notre Dame, defeated Texas. We had an Appalachian State, if you know them, defeated Texas A&M. You had, man, who the hell was that? Who defeated Nebraska, who got Scott Frost kicked out.
I'm trying to find him.
Was it Georgia Southern?
I feel like it might have been Georgia Southern.
I'll just try to look at this picture and it was just like, ooh. Yep, Georgia Southern beat Nebraska, who's like a 30 million point favorite. And the Louisiana Raging Cajuns have the longest winning streak in the nation right now. So, first off, Notre Dame, they just played us. And I credit this to the good old letdown trap game. Like you had, like Cedric said, we were their biggest game of the schedule. So then they were super up for that. And then you have that letdown of losing, and you're like, oh, we could just come in here and beat Marshall. No, you can't. No, you can't. People are getting too good now. They lose 26-21. They completely drop out of the rankings. I think the biggest one was freaking Texas A&M, because Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher was yapping that yap all summer. He's basically said to Saban, it's on site when they play each other in October, and then you lose to Appalachian State at home.
Bro, you were right. Jimbo Fisher was talking about. He said
Basically said it's on site.
Right. He said we ain't friends no more. And then to lose to Appalachian State, granted to Appalachian State, because I think they're 2-0, right? No, they're 1-1. They lost that very close 66, like 63 game.
To North Carolina, where we were just talking about them last week when they scored 40 points in the fourth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 40 straight.
40 straight.
40 straight up in the fourth quarter.
Appalachian plays really hard against like big teams.
Well, we know what they did to Michigan.
Yep. Just about to say that.
We know what they did to Michigan. You know what's crazy? This is the problem. And I know because we're in Big Ten country, but we don't really harp on this bias unless there's fact. Texas A&M, I don't even have to look. They're a 30-something point favorite. They lose to Appalachian State at home. They're still in the top 25.
Yeah, I think they dropped like 21 spots.
They should be out of the top 25.
They should.
You know why they're still there.
I know, because they got to have Texas A&M ranked when they play Bama in October. I know. But Texas A&M plays Miami this weekend.
At Miami, too.
Saban needs that blanket, that security blanket, just in case.
But no, it's a home game against Miami, so hopefully they won't lose that. It's a night game.
They suck. They're trash. But Notre Dame completely dropped out. But I'm like, y'all both just lost to unranked people. And how did Texas A&M get to stay in? And they were only 2 spots difference, and Notre Dame got bounced. And Oregon, y'all shouldn't be in the top 25. Y'all got smoked.
Did they just lose to?
No, they remember they lost that first game to Georgia.
Right, to Georgia, yep.
And then they played some JUCO JV team.
Man.
I don't know. Those were the big upsets. You also had more upsets too. Remember how last week we were just talking about Florida, how they went from like unranked to the top of the top. They lose to Kentucky. So then Florida drops back down to 18 and Kentucky goes from 20th to 9th. So let me just read. Well, let me read this top 10. And Georgia's number 1. We're going to tell you how Georgia got to number 1. Alabama 2, OSU 3, Michigan 4, Clemson 5, Oklahoma 6, USC 7, Oklahoma State 8, Kentucky 9, Arkansas 10.
SEC powered.
So 1, 2, 4 teams in the SEC currently in the top 10. And if you counted like in the future, Oklahoma would count for them as well. And then you have Michigan State 11, BYU 12, Miami, Florida 13, Utah 14, Tennessee 15, and then so on and so forth. So Georgia, who we know, I got a long history with them, number 1 team in the nation right now, and rightfully so, because there was a game of the week, 12 o'clock, Fox, Joe Klatt and Jus Gonson. Alabama rode into Texas. First things first, I haven't seen Texas that pumped for a game that wasn't Oklahoma in a long time. Like, the town was rocking, and I don't even know who we want to. Cedric, you want to take this one?
Man, all I know is Nick Saban, you ain't slick, bruh. I see how you operate when you be coming close to losing. You got to pay these refs, start paying the coaches. I'll play this. Kudos to Texas. This was a hard-fought game. Honestly, I'll keep it 100 real quick. If Brandon Ewers didn't go down in that first quarter,
they win.
Texas wins that game. And I think they win that game, honestly, by double digits.
Yeah. If Mullet doesn't go down, you're right. They win that game.
Like, that meant, like, both teams were driving up the field. I know Alabama had a really big rush. I think it's like 82 yards on their second drive to get 14. And then it wasn't even like Ewers struggled. Like, he was eating their defense up. And then Texas's defense stepped up, started getting stops, but Ewers was out. I mean, Card played a great game for coming in as a backup, like keeping the momentum, not giving too many turnovers or anything like that, not giving up too many plays. I think his downfall was honestly he got hurt. And he was playing hurt because, I mean, you ain't going to bring the third string in against Alabama. And so even playing hurt, he played a good game. Alabama's extremely fortunate. Nick Saban, I don't know why God loves you so much.
I don't know if it's God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you brought up the refs. Let's just bring up the call. The one that made everyone's like, yeah, he's paying people.
And that was a safety.
Yes. So third quarter, Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young they're deep in their own territory at the 1. First, he gets sacked for a safety. It gets called a safety. Then you see a flag come out trying to say that it was roughing the passer and targeting, which when you watch it, he was tumbling. No one hit him. Like, he just got pushed. No one hit him in the head. That was just a terrible call in itself. So then it gets reversed, but it gets reversed to an incomplete. That made no sense. Why did you not give them their safety? He didn't incomplete it. It was a safety.
Like,
that literally cost them the game, because if everything stays the same, Texas wins by 1 point.
Yeah. Well, not even that, but I don't even know if he has enough time to go drive down the field like he did at the end to kick that field for them to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
I don't think he has enough time because Texas gets the ball right back. They get another series going.
Yeah. Like, that literally took points off Texas's thing, which I sat there and I was like, can someone explain how we went from safety to like, I was like, I get it, but that was no targeting. Like, that was like Cedric said, that's a ref making a call. And then you guys incomplete, so you don't even want to give Texas the points?
Yeah, that was some horse shit. Because I think either it was Joe Klatt or Gus Johnson said, "Oh, we heard that like the ref called it called the targeting wrong. I'm like, what? Like, it wasn't even targeting.
And again, I think it was more of one of those situations, honestly, where the ref saw what looked like a sack. Like, because I mean, unless you look at the replay, you get close enough, you don't know that Bryce Young's laying on top of another guy, like on top of the defender. And that's the reason why he's still trying to throw the ball, because he's trying to get rid of it to avoid taking a sack and getting the safety. The defender sees like, oh, he's trying to throw the ball. Well, let me try to block that pass because I don't know who the fuck's behind me. I'm trying to have this ball go out of bounds here and get the safety.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's the reason why he's like jumping on him, and you see him like putting his arms. I was like, no, like he's not trying to like hit him. He's down. He's trying to get that ball.
And then you get to the fourth. Go ahead, Cedric. Keep going. I'm sorry.
But it's like he didn't even get the ball out of the end zone.
No, he didn't.
So like, what are we really even talking about? The ball went up to the side.
He did.
So that's a safety. Like, I'm sorry, like that's a safety. Like,
that's a whole 2 points. They lost the game by 1 point. And that was 2 points that was taken off the board. And then with fourth quarter, like when Bryce Young and them were driving to get the game-winning field goal, and they missed the wide open sack on Bryce Young. They literally had him, and they escaped too. And then I just remember, former Buckeyes. Like, that's why he's former. Because said we ain't having that over here no more.
As soon as I heard there was a former Buckeye, the first thing I said was like, "Oh, that's that Kerry Coombs way of tackling."
I mean, as soon he missed, that was gonna be the type of hit you see on YouTube, and he missed. I was like, how do you let that happen?
I don't know how. Granted, I also don't know how tall, like in that moment, you think you need to be if you're going that high to avoid him from being able to still throw the ball and get rid of it. But my dog, at that point in time, your goal is honestly, if you ain't hitting him and blowing up, you making him move or do something, because he ducked you like that. It was a missed tackle, but it was one hell of a duck by Bryce Young. Like, and you know who you're trying to tackle. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, this dude won a Heisman Trophy for a reason. He mobile. He moves. So like, if you know that that's who you're trying to sack, you're going down there. It's really just you and him one-on-one. Ain't nobody else breaking anything. No one else is around you. You can't group sack this dude. You gotta make that tackle.
It's interesting too how the narrative. Some people are like, man, look at Alabama gutting out a win. Bryce Young putting up like a Heisman moment, and then everyone's like, y'all were like a 21 point favorite, and you should have lost to the backup quarterback of Texas. Not even the starter. And they only, objectively, they should not be ranked above us. Because we beat the top 5 team at that point in time by double digits. And we dropped. Alabama beat a team, they were a 21 point favorite against the backup quarterback, which they should have lost. They only dropped 1 spot. That makes no sense.
I mean, if we're saying consistently, because Georgia jumped up.
Well, Georgia, yeah, well.
From the first week, like right, like we beat a top 5 team by double digits. Still,
they beat a top 11 team by $1 billion,
and then we lose. Like we whoop on Arkansas State. Alabama wins by 1.
Yep,
we both should have jumped them.
Because Georgia did. They're currently number 1. Alabama 2, OSU 3. Which OSU only got 1 first place vote. And Alabama got 9, and Georgia got 53.
I don't understand how Bama got 9 first place votes.
I just know if that was Ohio State, we'd be ranked below Michigan right now.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Shit,
the headline would have been Ohio State struggles against Texas.
On the road. Backup. If a backup quarterback takes Ohio State to the brink, everyone else is like, man, Alabama showed some grit. That's that championship mentality. I was like, what is their backup quarterback?
I'm going to say this, and I'll probably take it back later as the season goes, but I really don't give a damn. They really shouldn't be top 5 right now.
Bama?
Like, I'm sorry. Yes, you win 1 point by unranked team. Backup quarterback. I think it's fair to say, objectively, if Brandon Yours is healthy, you guys lose by double-digit points.
Mm-hmm.
Where we just saw Notre Dame get bounced from the top 25, losing to Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
We see Florida dropping, like teams that from out of 25 are jumping in the middle of the top 25 just by beating a team. It's like you barely won. You should be out of the top 5. Like, I'm sorry, that wasn't a top 5 performance.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree too. I agree, but we'll see. Alabama plays. Who do they play this week?
JUCO team, probably.
I was going to say Mercer.
I'm trying to actually look because it's yeah.
They love Mercer.
Game count.
Oh, UL Monroe?
Yeah.
Monroe
University of
Warhawks.
Louisiana.
They are a 50-point favorite.
Well, let's pray they cover.
But
now watch, they're gonna blow that team out, drop like 60 something. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, the Crimson Tide is back."
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Elephant ass niggas. I know y'all ain't slick. I see what's happening. That's the same shit that happened to Auburn.
We're gonna see.
When Auburn should have beat them on like that same week. Unfortunately, we lost to Michigan, but that same night they should have lost to Auburn. Same situation. Backup quarterback who's playing hurt, and they almost fucking lost. I swear you can't. Nick Saban needs to write these types of stories because if this ever became a film, I need to talk to the man. He's a genius. The way he writes it, no one realizes the commonalities of this shit.
Hey, Texas went from unranked and then they lost by 1 point to Alabama. So Saban had to be like, put them in the top 25. And he did. Texas is 21 right now.
Of course.
On an L.
No offense to Texas. I really wish I would have won. But we bounced in Notre Dame all the way out. And we let a team come in after losing. What is this logic?
Texas is ahead of Penn State, and Penn State's 2-0.
I don't understand how this works. Like this, everything we knew about college football is wrong now.
Yep.
It's crazy, but hey, like when Buckeye fans were getting mad, I was like, hey, it could have been worse. We could have lost like all these other top teams because number 9 Baylor lost.
Yep, to BYU.
To BYU, and Baylor dropped to 17, and BYU went up to 12. So I think Buckeye fans always got to realize it can be worse. We could be taking these L's and being on upset streak because when we get upset, woo, social media ain't pretty.
No, it is not.
It's not pretty.
Everyone else gets off easy. Boy, they come for them Buckeyes because some of them Buckeye fans be running that mouth, and when we do take those L's, there's some fans who think we'll never lose a game in the rest of our lives. So,
I mean, we literally lost 2 games last year.
All right, I'm just telling you, some fans think we'll never lose. We're not supposed to.
You gotta play every game.
And then when they think they happen, they think the man in Christ is coming down. They think it's the rapture. I'm like, come on now. They want to win too, but that's really it, guys. Anything else? We got Toledo coming up. That should be a good dub on a Saturday night. Wisconsin the night after that, and yeah, we're gonna be in Big Ten. Then we got that stretch in October we'll be talking about with Michigan State, Iowa, and Penn State.
That's gonna be rough.
Man,
because that Penn.
Someone said the Penn State game's gonna be at noon.
There's no way.
They said Fox wants it. They said they want it at noon.
There is no way Penn State will allow a noon game. They love to white out against Ohio State.
You have no choice.
We'll see. I think it's going to be a night game. ABC white out like it usually is.
They get good ratings.
From that.
Well, the game's always live.
But with that being said, again, Buckeyes, we're 2-0 right now. 45-12, got Toledo. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the L7C podcast. Be on the lookout for more upsets in college football because they do happen. And I think Cedric had the question for the pod. Nick Saban, what are you paying these people? How are you making this happen?
Whose soul did you give up? Because I know you trying to secure the bag, so you ain't trying to go to hell yourself.
And then shout out to the Sunbelt Conference. And with that being said, this is the L7C podcast signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.